Hey everyone, this is Not the Girl Next Door show, and I have Justin Manning and Jason Williams from Smoke Hollow today. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Could you tell everyone a little bit about the band, like where you guys are from, how you guys met, and maybe tell us a little about the sound for listeners who haven't heard of you guys before?
Well, we met drinking beer, me and Jason did, and we used to collect empty beer cans, see how many empty beer cans we could collect in one night. So that's how we met.
But tape them together.
Tape them together.
You got to take the empties to the full.
But we've been buddies forever. Basically, I did this tour with my other band, Crown by Fire, and we did a tour with Fozzy and Smoke and Texas Hippie Coalition, and then John hit me up. John Exall hit me up to start a band, and that's basically how Smoke Hollow was created. And we figured, well, we should probably get Dewey to sing, and that's basically it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. It ended up working out. So, it's just really an interesting project. It's definitely been people seem to like it. So we'll see what happens next.
So you guys are complete amalgamation of many projects like Kill Devil Hill, Texas Hippie Coalition, Crown by Fire, like you said, and a couple other bands. So what spawned this project amongst the five different of everybody together to do this one?
Well, I would say we all collectively headlined Ride for Dime down in Dallas, Texas. And that's kind of how we met. Like we all, like Crown by Fire, Texas Hippie Coalition, and Kill Devil Hill, we all headlined on two different nights at Ride for Dime. And so that's kind of how we got familiar with each other. And then from that point, Crown by Fire, like I just said, ended up doing a tour with Texas Hippie Coalition and Fozzy. And then it just kind of was like, hey, we should start a band, and so we did. And we just kind of was just like, well, why don't you fly out to L.A. and, I've got, this producer buddy and, and then I got a drummer and I've got this and that I can, put forth, into the situation. And that's basically how it started. We wrote a couple of songs. We brought Dewey up, and he started singing on it. We were like, oh my God, we struck gold,
Right.
And and so that's basically how it happened. It was just kind of like just kind of a side project sort of thing, like just to sort of see how, whether or not it would work. And I think that, we've really caught something that's, special. And it seems to be that everybody else thinks so as well. So we'll see what the industry thinks of it, and of course, I've been friends with Jason for a long time and always been a big fan of his guitar playing. So him and I work really well together as two guitar players. It's peas in a pod. We play very similarly, and he's the only other guitar player I've ever played with where there's no limitations. It's like, like we literally boil it down to that. Yeah, just like every little note, every little nuance, every little thing, and each of us can play it, whatever it is, So, yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
So how did you guys come up with the name Smoke Hollow?
It was Dewey, right?
Yeah, it was Dewey's idea. There was a bunch of names thrown around, and Dewey said Smoke Hollow, and I was like, I don't know. And then after you sit on it for a little while, I was like, that actually sounds pretty cool. Same thing happened with Crown by Fire. I remember the singer from Crown by Fire saying, the name of the band's Crown by Fire. And I was like, I don't know. Like a month later, I was like, dude, the name of the band's Crown by Fire. So just sometimes stuff sounds kind of goofy to you at first, and then eventually, you just kind of learn to You know what I mean? I mean, it's like Pantera. It's like if somebody would have told me, "Oh, let's stay in the band Pantera," and Pantera never existed, I'd be like, "Really, dude?" But it's so effective, you know. So you just have to go with it, you know. Or AC/DC, you know.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, I mean that's basically how it was. Pretty simple.
Now, how would you describe your sound to listeners? How would you describe Smoke Hollow if somebody had never heard of the band before?
Heavy.
What do you think, Jason?
I'd say heavy, groovy, ballsy, but definitely heavy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, heavy, definitely. Heavy was always on the plate, but we wanted to be melodic without sort of being that kind of new metal thing that's going on where it's like scream during the verse and sing clean during the chorus, and you know what I mean? It was like, you know, it's like Sabbath didn't scream, you know, like why can't it just be like that? Why does it have to be, you know, there's with Pantera, there's so many Pantera clones, you know, so we just wanted to be, you know, I remember being in the truck with Dewey the very first day before we ever even tracked anything, and he was like, just the only thing I don't want to scream. We're like, cool, dude, do whatever you think you should do. And that's what he did. And I, you know, I want to kiss him every time I see him. It's just absolutely amazing what he pulled off. You know, his voice is unreal. I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greatest heavy metal hard rock vocalists of the 20th century, or even in the 20th century, or in the 21st century now.
Yeah, I guess it would be the 21st century.
Yeah, I guess we are. So, the 21st century, you know. So yeah, no, I mean he's just absolutely killing it, you know. So yeah, it's going to be, you know, I can't wait to see what we do next. You know, that's going to be neat.
So who overall are some of your guys' musical influences that help shape the kind of music that you play today?
Jason?
I would definitely say for sure things like, you know, obviously like Black Label Society and Ozzy. And then for me personally, you can't hear it so much, but like as far as the guitar playing goes and the heavy side of things, I really like a lot of death metal and stuff too. So as far as like the heavy palm muting and things like that, definitely bands like Nile and Decapitated for me personally.
Yeah, he's the heavier into things. I'm more into like, you know, the Pantera kind of thing. Obviously, you know, I was basically taught by Zakk Wylde, so that is obviously a giant influence. But there's, you know, for me, I'm more into like, you know, kind of the bluesier into things. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eddie Van Halen, not that he's bluesy per se, but Dimebag, you know, Pantera, all that stuff. Not that Jason isn't, but he definitely goes down some darker streets than I do.
But that's what leads for some cool ideas too, just trying to blend our different influences and just, you know, combine everything into one.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, which is cool too, because he'll turn me on to stuff like Bloodbath and be like, dude, check this out. Whereas I would have never really listened to it. I would have been like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
And, you know, but he's gone through it already and done all the, you know, picking out the cream of the crop stuff. And then he's like, dude, check this song out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can hear what's going on with that. You know, he's got a band. Jason's got a band called Delphian. It's just absolutely brutal. So, you know, it's really fun to listen to that kind of stuff. And you know, as a guitar player, it's nice to hear. It's refreshing to work with somebody else that has different influences, but that is so accomplished on the guitar that when I know that when he tells me, hey, check this out, that it's going to be good. It's going to be cool in some way, shape, or form. And so that's really neat as a musician to work with somebody else that has a different view of the musical world than I do. I'm a little bit older than he is, so it's kind of like refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of just somebody just kind of like following my every move, it's nice to be like, no, dude, check this out. Check this thing on guitar, or listen to this guy that I never listened to. So yeah, so that's cool.
And I completely understand, because it's funny that you talk about, the heavier rock, or as people call it, heavier, but I don't know. There's so many, rock is rock, but we obviously know there's so many little tiny subgenres of rock, and and I almost hate the term nu metal, because I don't know, I grew up with Pantera. Was like the first concert I ever went to when I was younger, so
that's good. That's good.
But I was a little bit blocked myself, because that was kind of the music I gravitated towards, and I didn't go metal, and I wasn't somebody that gravitated towards that. I call it's a little cheesy, but I call them sweet and sour gummy bear sounds, because when you have a clean vocalist and a rough vocalist, I really wasn't into that at first, and it took me a little bit. It took me a little bit to get into that, and now there's multiple bands that I like that are like that. But I think when you're so used to, I'll go back and say the '90s, the music from the '90s, it's just a different era of rock, but it's still great music. But it did take me a little bit to get into that.
There's nothing wrong with any of it. I mean,
right.
In my personal opinion, I mean, I don't have to like it,
right.
but I'm not going to hate on it, because as far as I'm concerned, the more rock, guitar-oriented music is in the mainstream, the better it is for all of us.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be something that I'm particularly into, but if the kid, if there's something that the kids are into, or the radio is playing something that has to do, and it's not hip hop, which obviously dominates the mainstream at this particular moment,
right.
Then it's good for everybody involved, and whatever you're into, it's just it's. Obviously being guitar players, we're biased. So we're going to be looking for things that are really guitar driven. And then at that, there's just like metal, that gets divided up into a bazillion different subgenres. And, some of them I'm into, some of them I'm not.
Right.
And the stuff that I'm not doesn't mean that I don't respect it or think that it's cool or that's impressive. This doesn't mean it's pleasing to my ear.
Right.
I'd rather listen to again, Stevie Ray Vaughan play the blues or Slash than, some guy on a 9-string guitar. But somebody else doesn't necessarily have that same point of view,
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think one cool thing about Jason and I is that we that's where we really meet in the middle, is that we're both very traditional when it comes to guitars and guitar tones. Les Pauls and Marshall style amps, just EMGs, just very it's just pretty well blues based, where we end up kind of combining together, and there is some other stuff involved, but for the most part it runs right in there with the Zakk Wyldes and the Dimebag kind of vibe, which I think is what like, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's like the home base, what you're talking about.
It is the home base, absolutely.
Back to that.
Yeah, and we could go out into outer space on one thing, but we're always going to come back to that.
Right.
Yeah. And I think a majority of people, that's what they, obviously they're the most successful. So there's a reason why that is,
Agreed. So let's talk a little bit about your song Salvation, and maybe a little bit about the video. If you could tell us, what it's about, and how it was doing the video, and what the video is about, and if it coincides.
Well, it's a funny story.
Perfect.
We went up into the hills of Golden, California, which I live about 20 miles north of Hollywood, and Jason lives about 10 miles north of Hollywood. And we went up into sorry, I have a talking cat that's probably going to be on this interview. And we went up into the middle of the mountains in, what was it, Jason, December? Yeah.
Yeah.
Early December.
I think it was the first.
Yeah, it was the 1st of December. And we were afraid it was going to snow. And it had been like raining and like, yes, it actually rains in California.
I was going to say, it actually snows where you're at?
Well, no, it doesn't snow where we're at. But if you, one thing people don't understand in California is that there's a lot of mountains.
Right.
And because of the earthquake activity, the elevation can change really quickly. So you can be in Hollywood and look up on the mountains. The mountains are so large that there's snow on the top of them.
Right.
And so unless you're from around here, you don't really realize. You think it's all palm trees and, But where I live kind of in the sticks. So about another 20 miles north of me, you climb another 1,200 feet above sea level, and it snows up there. So we were afraid of it snowing and this, that, and the other thing, and being windy. And so we ended up shooting the video, and we kind of just told each other, hey, you know what? If it snows and it rains, most people pay a lot of money for that effect. So let's just roll with it and just tough it out. If it's cold, it's cold. And that's what we did we not, Jason?
Yeah. And, the weather was far from ideal, but it turned out cool with the rain and, say when Dewey's singing or something, you can see breath coming out, and it turned out pretty badass.
Plus, we laughed our balls off in the van.
Yeah.
So it was a great time. The other cool thing that I think about it, Jason, I don't know about you, but it was really neat to have everybody in the same place at the same time actually doing something, because in reality, this thing has been this whole band this whole time has been more of a computer-generated situation nowadays with recording and online stuff. We've never really all been at the same place at the same time. It's been like time for the singer to sing and the guitar players to play and the this to this, and so for everybody to be in the same vehicle at the same time, going to do the same thing. And the first thing we ever did together was shoot a video, and our first show was going to be at Rocklahoma.
That was actually going to be one of my questions. What do you guys have planned for this year as far as festivals or tours, or what are you guys doing?
Well, as far as Rocklahoma is concerned, we're actually not allowed to really talk about it right now.
Okay.
But just know that we're going to be there, only because the guy who asked us to be on it wants there to be a certain amount of he wants to be able to kind of pop it himself, that we're going to be there, and which stage we're going to be on. But just know that we're going to be there. And other than that, we don't have anything else planned per se. But we definitely want to tour, and we're not sure yet whether we're going to tour our way out there and our way back, or whether we're just going to go out and do the one show and then figure out what we're going to do from there. So, that's what I know.
Now, as far as music-wise for the rest of 2019, do you guys have an EP or album in the works? Or as far as releasing music, are we doing single by single, or what are we doing for the rest of 2019? Can we unveil what you guys have going on?
What do you think, Jason?
Well, we're definitely working on new shit right now. But as far as having a full record by the end of the year, that may be pushing it, but definitely song by song thing for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that right now, I think with the way the industry is, I think that putting out maybe a new single is probably the best way to go. We're not on a label yet. We don't have management yet. We don't really have anything but just the band and the video right now. And then sort of, but we did it that way on purpose, you know, so that we could just kind of drop a giant bomb and see what comes to us.
Right.
So, you know, we're looking for that stuff. So anybody who might be listening, get a hold of us. And, you know, we're looking basically for, you know, a record deal so that we can put together a proper record and get something out there for everybody to, you know, to do it the right way. You know, put the record out the right way, get out on the road the right way, because there's no real sense in just going out and recklessly attempting to tour.
Right.
Because it's expensive and it's hard and it's, you know, I mean, you got to do it the right way or you're going to just eat yourself alive, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, completely understandable.
Yeah.
So right now you guys have out the video for Salvation and, of course, the single. Where can people, do you guys have merch out or anything like that right now? Or I know this is just, you know, the beginning stages in the process and stuff. Where can people find your stuff? Are you guys all over social media, or where can fans find your things?
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Go ahead.
Instagram, right? Instagram, but I think for sure our most popular platform now would be our Facebook.
Yeah, it would be our Facebook, and I actually just inquired today about doing a T-shirt design with the merch company. So we're you know, because everybody's been asking for T-shirts, and obviously we're going to need to have T-shirts when we get to Rocklahoma. So that is definitely something that we're going to be having soon. So as soon as we know, everybody else will know. And I think that we all agree on one particular design. And yeah, I mean, I think that you know, like I said, it'll be out as soon as we know. Everybody else will know, and it's just kind of barely starting to. We just wanted to put the video out and get the feel for everything, and let everybody know that, hey, this exists and it's working, it's firing on all cylinders, and, you know, it's ready to go. Sort of the downside to being in multiple popular bands is that everybody wants everything right now.
Right.
And it doesn't always work that way. So, but we're trying to make to try to meet everybody's needs. So.
Of course, definitely. Yeah. Well, I thank you guys for coming on the show. I we discussed a little bit before we got on. I know all the DJs here love you at Rock Rage, so I'm sure you'll see your name. You guys tagged multiple times. So anytime you guys want to come back or have any announcements to make or music news or new music to drop, definitely contact me. I'd love to have you guys back on the show.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll come back on with Dewey, John. Maybe we'll come back, we'll do something from the road, or we can do something from Rocklahoma. But yeah, absolutely. And we really thank you guys for your support and help to get this thing up off the ground. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.